Mia was a small girl who loved walking near the open fields behind her house. She lived with her parents in a quiet area where trees stood tall and the roads were narrow. That afternoon the sky was clear and the air felt warm and calm. Mia walked slowly, holding a small flower she had picked from the grass. She was not supposed to go far, but curiosity often pulled her steps forward. She followed a bright butterfly that floated gently through the air. It moved from one flower to another, and Mia followed without thinking. Each step took her farther from the road and closer to the edge of the forest. The sounds around her slowly changed as the birds became fewer and the wind became louder. After a while, Mia stopped walking and looked around. The path she remembered was no longer visible. Tall grass surrounded her on all sides, and trees stood like silent guards. Her heart began to beat faster as she turned around again and again. Everything looked the same, and nothing felt familiar anymore. She called out for her mother with a small, shaky voice. No one answered her call. She called again, louder this time, but only the wind replied. Fear slowly filled her chest, making it hard for her to breathe. Mia sat down on the ground and hugged her knees tightly. Tears rolled down her face as she tried to stay quiet. She was scared and confused and did not know what to do next. The forest around her felt too big and too quiet at the same time. Suddenly, she heard a sound coming from behind the trees. It was slow and steady, like soft footsteps on the ground. Mia lifted her head slowly, her eyes wide with fear. Her body froze as she tried to see where the sound was coming from. Out from between the trees stepped a large German shepherd. Its fur was thick and dark, and its eyes were sharp but calm. Before Mia could react, another dog appeared beside it. Then another one stepped forward, and then another, and then one more. There were 5 German shepherds standing around her. They moved carefully and quietly, spreading out in a wide circle. Their bodies were strong and alert, and their ears stood straight up. They did not bark or make any loud sound. They only watched her closely, as if trying to understand her. Mia felt her body shake as fear took over. She pressed her hands against her face and cried softly. She believed the dogs were dangerous and that she was in serious trouble. Her mind filled with scary thoughts she could not control. The dogs stopped moving and stood still. They did not come closer, and they did not step away. One of them slowly sat down near her, keeping a small distance. Another dog lowered its head slightly and looked at her gently. Mia opened her eyes just enough to look at them. She noticed that none of the dogs showed anger or aggression. Their eyes followed her movements, calm and steady. The wind moved their fur softly as they remained quiet. One of the dogs stepped forward and sniffed the air near her. It did not touch her or scare her further. It simply checked her presence and stepped back again. Mia felt confused because this was not what she expected. Her crying slowly became softer as she watched them carefully. She wiped her tears with her sleeve and took a small breath. The dogs remained where they were, forming a protective circle. They seemed focused on something beyond just watching her. Far away, a faint sound echoed through the forest. It was the sound of human voices calling out. The dogs lifted their heads at the same time. Their ears turned in the direction of the sound. Mia did not notice the voices yet, but the dogs did. One of them stood up and looked toward the trees. Another dog moved closer to Mia, standing beside her quietly. Its presence felt strangely comforting despite her fear. The forest no longer felt completely silent. The dogs shifted their positions slightly, staying alert. Mia looked up at the nearest dog and felt something change inside her. She felt less alone than before. She did not know it yet, but these dogs were not there to harm her. They had surrounded her for a very different reason. Something unexpected was about to happen that would change everything. The dogs remained calm as the sounds in the distance grew slightly louder. Mia stayed still, unsure of what she should do next. Her eyes moved from one dog to another, watching their quiet behavior. None of them showed teeth or made any sudden move. Their calm presence slowly eased her fear. One of the dogs stepped closer and sat down near her left side. Its body faced outward, as if guarding her space. Another dog moved behind her and stood still, watching the trees. The remaining dogs spread out slightly, keeping a careful watch around them. Mia noticed how the dogs seemed organized and focused. They were not acting like wild animals. They behaved as if they had a purpose. This made her confusion grow stronger than her fear. She slowly pushed herself up from the ground and stood on shaky legs. The dogs did not react in a threatening way. One of them looked up at her and tilted its head slightly. Its eyes were calm and intelligent. Mia took a small step forward and then stopped. The dogs remained still and allowed her movement. She realized they were not trying to trap her. They were staying close for another reason. A distant voice called out again from somewhere beyond the trees. This time Mia heard it clearly. It was a man's voice calling her name. Hope rushed into her chest. Mia opened her mouth and tried to call back. Her voice came out weak but clear enough to carry. She shouted her name again and waved her arms. The sound echoed softly through the forest. The dogs reacted immediately. One of them stood tall and let out a short, sharp bark. It was not aggressive but loud enough to be heard far away. Another dog barked as well, turning its head toward the sound of the voices. Mia watched in surprise as the dogs began to move. They did not run away from her. They began walking in a single direction, stopping after a few steps. One dog looked back at her and waited. Mia hesitated, but then followed them slowly. Her legs felt weak, but her heart felt stronger. She trusted them without fully understanding why. The dogs walked at a slow pace, matching her steps. They guided her through the tall grass and around fallen branches. Whenever Mia slowed down, one of the dogs would pause and wait. Another dog stayed close to her side, making sure she did not fall. Their movements felt careful and protective. The forest began to thin as they moved forward. The light grew brighter as trees became fewer. Mia could hear voices more clearly now. She felt a wave of relief wash over her. Suddenly, a man appeared between the trees. His name was David. He was breathing heavily and looking around in panic. His eyes widened when he saw Mia. David ran toward her and dropped to his knees. He wrapped his arms around her tightly. His voice shook as he spoke her name again and again. Mia held onto him and began to cry, but this time from relief. Behind David, more people arrived from the path. Mia's mother was among them, tears streaming down her face. She rushed forward and pulled Mia into her arms. She thanked the dogs again and again through her tears. The dogs stood quietly nearby, watching the reunion. They did not seek attention or praise. They simply observed as if their job was done. Their calm behavior amazed everyone present. David looked at the dogs with deep respect. He realized they had guided Mia safely through the forest. Without them, the situation could have ended very differently. The dogs had acted as silent protectors. One of the people recognized the dogs. They belonged to a nearby training center. They were trained to protect and assist when needed. They had likely heard Mia crying and responded instinctively. Mia looked at the dogs one last time before leaving. She waved softly and smiled. One of the dogs wagged its tail gently. It was a small moment filled with quiet understanding. As Mia was led back toward safety, the dogs turned away. They walked back into the trees together. Their figures slowly disappeared into the forest. The field became quiet once again. Mia never forgot that day. She remembered the fear and the confusion. But most of all, she remembered the calm eyes that watched over her. The unexpected protectors who stood between her and danger. The next morning, Mia woke up earlier than usual. The sunlight entered her room softly through the window. She sat up in her bed and thought about the forest. The memory of the dogs was still clear in her mind. She remembered their calm eyes and quiet movements. She remembered how safe she felt near them. Even though the experience was scary, it also felt special to her. It was something she knew she would never forget. Downstairs, her parents were already awake. They sat at the table talking in low voices. Their faces still showed worry from the day before. When Mia entered the room, her mother stood up quickly. Her mother hugged her tightly and checked her face. Her father smiled with relief and touched her head gently. They asked her how she was feeling. Mia said she felt fine but quiet. During breakfast, Mia talked about the dogs. She described how they stood around her. She explained how they guided her through the forest. Her parents listened carefully without interrupting. Her father nodded slowly as she spoke. He said the dogs were trained to help and protect. He explained that animals can sometimes sense fear. Mia listened with wide eyes and interest. Later that day, her parents decided to visit the training center. They wanted to thank the people who cared for the dogs. Mia insisted on going with them. She felt a strong connection to those animals. The training center was located near the edge of town. It was surrounded by open land and tall fences. Mia held her mother's hand as they walked inside. She felt both excited and nervous. A man named Adam greeted them at the gate. He wore a simple uniform and smiled warmly. When they explained why they were there, he listened closely. His expression softened as he heard Mia's story. Adam led them to a large open area. Several German shepherds were resting there. Mia recognized them immediately. Her heart began to beat faster. The dogs noticed her as well. One of them stood up and walked closer. Its tail moved slowly from side to side. Mia smiled and waved softly. Adam watched carefully as Mia approached. He allowed her to stand near the dogs. The dogs remained calm and gentle. They remembered her clearly. Mia reached out her hand slowly. One dog stepped forward and sniffed her fingers. It then sat down in front of her calmly. Mia laughed softly and felt happy. Adam explained that these dogs were trained to protect. They were taught to stay calm and observe situations. They were trained to guide lost people to safety. Their behavior was controlled and thoughtful. Mia's parents thanked Adam sincerely. They expressed how grateful they were. They said the dogs had saved their daughter. Adam nodded with pride and respect. Mia spent some time sitting near the dogs. She talked quietly, as if they could understand her words. The dogs stayed near her peacefully. The moment felt calm and warm. As they prepared to leave, Mia looked back. She waved again at the dogs. They watched her quietly from the field. She felt a sense of friendship in that silence. That night, Mia slept peacefully. She did not dream of fear or darkness. She dreamed of open fields and calm eyes. She felt protected even in her sleep. Days passed, but the memory stayed strong. Mia became more careful when she played outside. She listened closely to her parents' advice. She understood the importance of staying safe. Sometimes she would draw pictures of the dogs. She drew them standing tall and strong. She colored their eyes softly. Her drawings filled her notebook. At school, she shared her story with friends. They listened with amazement. Some were scared and some were inspired. Mia spoke calmly and confidently. Her teacher praised her for her bravery. She said Mia had learned an important lesson. Mia smiled proudly. She felt stronger inside. The forest still stood quietly at the edge of town. The path remained the same as before. But to Mia, it felt different now. It was a place of memory and learning. She knew danger could exist anywhere. But she also knew help could come unexpectedly. That thought stayed with her every day. It shaped how she saw the world. The dogs returned to their duties. They continued training and helping others. They did not know how important they had been. They only followed their instincts and training. Mia never saw them as just animals again. She saw them as protectors and guides. She believed kindness could come from anywhere, even from the quiet shadows of a forest. Time moved forward, and life slowly returned to normal for Mia and her family. The fear of that day faded, but the lesson stayed strong in her heart. She became more aware of her surroundings and listened carefully to her parents. Her steps became thoughtful instead of rushed. Mia often asked questions about safety and responsibility. Her parents answered patiently and kindly. They noticed a change in her behavior. She was still playful, but more careful. Sometimes Mia would stand near the edge of the field and look toward the forest. She no longer felt only fear when she saw the trees. She felt respect and understanding. The forest was not evil, but it demanded care. At school, Mia became known for her story. Teachers spoke about it as an example of awareness and learning. Her classmates listened closely when she talked. Some asked questions with wide eyes. Mia explained how staying calm helped her. She talked about trusting instincts and paying attention. She never exaggerated the story. She told it honestly and clearly. One afternoon, the school invited a guest speaker. It was Adam from the training center. He came to talk about working dogs and safety. Mia sat in the front row and listened proudly. Adam spoke about discipline and patience. He explained how dogs are trained to observe before acting. He shared how animals can help humans in difficult moments. The students listened quietly. When Adam finished, he asked if anyone had a question. Mia raised her hand slowly. She asked how dogs know when someone needs help. Adam smiled and answered gently. He said dogs watch behavior and emotions closely. They respond to fear and confusion. They are trained to protect without causing harm. Mia nodded with understanding. After the talk, Adam spoke privately with Mia's parents. He thanked them for allowing Mia to share her story. He said it helped people understand responsibility. Her parents felt proud. Weeks later, Mia's family visited the training center again. This time it was planned and calm. Mia brought drawings she had made. She wanted to give them to the staff. The dogs recognized her once more. They approached calmly and confidently. Mia smiled and felt happy. She felt no fear at all. Adam accepted the drawings with appreciation. He said he would hang them in the center. The moment felt meaningful. It was a quiet exchange of gratitude. As Mia grew older, the memory stayed clear. She carried it with her into new experiences. She learned to respect rules and boundaries. She understood that safety mattered. The story became something her family shared gently. It was not used to scare her. It was used to teach awareness. It helped guide her choices. Years later, Mia returned to the field as a teenager. She stood at the same spot where she once felt lost. The area looked smaller now. She smiled softly at the memory. She knew she had grown stronger. She had learned to trust calm thinking. She understood that help can come from unexpected places. That belief shaped her future. Mia later chose to volunteer at the training center. She helped with small tasks and care routines. She respected the work done there. It felt like coming full circle. The dogs continued their work quietly. They helped others just as they had helped her. They did not seek recognition. They simply did what they were trained to do. Mia never forgot the calm eyes watching over her. She never forgot the circle of protection. She never forgot how fear turned into safety. That moment stayed with her forever. Her story became a reminder. It showed how awareness and calm can change outcomes. It showed how guidance can come without words. It showed that unexpected protection can exist. The forest remained the same through the years. Trees grew and paths shifted slightly. But the lesson stayed untouched. Respect nature and stay aware. Mia carried that lesson into adulthood. It shaped her choices and values. It helped her face challenges calmly. It became part of who she was.